Okay. So ingredients and so for liquid ingredients, right? So I missed out one ingredient that's salt from the on the whiteboard, but like this is basically the water and concentrate and salt. So these are all like these three are all like liquid ingredients, liquid, and it's the flour, right? The wheat flour for ramen. So we're going to turn these ingredients into HH ramen noodles on this machine. Yeah, so this is our Bandotaro machine that's designed to basically make you know soba noodle, like soba noodle that's made of like buckwheat seeds, and so all these units of like equipment are designed to do soba noodles, but yeah, we're making ramen noodles on this machine, and so we have to dissolve like all these you know salt and concentrate into the water, and kind of making this kind of solution, right? Like so that's why they are all like liquid ingredients. So you have to remember that like you have to like treat the concentrate and salt, the amount of concentrate and salt as percentages that you add to hydration ratios. So if like concentrate and salt like was like each of them 1% to the weight of flour, weight of the solid, and you have to add like those 2% to the hydration. So adding the water, the solution, the liquid, then to the lid, and so this lid has these holes that allows this like liquid to be like drip through and be added to the flour a little by little, and so this allows for good good hydration of the flour. Yeah, so this mixer is a bit different from other types of mixers that are used for udon and ramen noodles, and you'll see that how it's different later. But like we can't, no, we don't want to waste like you guys' time, like by just watching the mixer, right? And so so Megumi prepared this dough in advance, and yeah, she, yeah, she just whipped it. So what we're gonna do is that like we want to work this dough, right? And like it's kind of help like develop like gluten structure inside dough. And so we use this press machine. This is a press machine that like kind of mimics the kind of foot stepping on the dough, right? And so in old days, right, like people, had this um, practice of like foot stepping on the dough to kind of work it, right, work the dough, and so literally they like step on them and work the dough, right, and it's yeah, I mean it's for real, and but like we can, well, it's a like it's a really actually like labor intensive, like a time consuming job. So we made machine that sort of like mimics that practice, and you know so this press machine applies good pressure on the dough, right? And So working the gluten. Okay, so over here we have dough that's sort of like half mixed, and yeah, as you can see that, you know, the flour, right? Flour like kind of turn like kind of pale yellow, and that's from the potassium carbonate of the currency. All right, so let's do a bit of more mixing. So that was third time that we did the press, right? And I think guys, I think it's time for the press, right? So she's dividing it into you know, pieces like portions that are easy for her to be able like sheet it, right? Thin it to uh, yeah, to do the rolling process on. Because if you have, you know, like really big piece of dough, and then you want to sheet it, right? And then like to certain thickness, and that's going to be like really well cumbersome because like the space, right? The space is limited. The space is limited, like in this work table, and you know, as you thin the dough, um, it's going to be like really. I mean, you know, you don't have like space, right? Like enough space to like further thin it. So that's why, yeah, you have like you should divide it, divide like before, you know, you gonna start sheeting it. All right, so, so let's start sheeting it. Yeah, as you can see, like the dough is like really pumped up, right? It's, if you push it, like trying to flatten it, like it's, you know, you don't like, you just like come right back. So, and so she's starting to sheet it, right? And notice like she's changing the gear, the shift of the roller to kind of like narrowing the roller gap little by little. So gradually thinning the dough. And what's interesting about this roller process compared to roller process like in the ramen machine is that like in this machine you can actually change the sheet that like direction, like change the direction of like sheeting. Um, so like you can roll like the dough like in different like multiple directions. But like in a ramen machine, like you can roll dough like only one direction. So that changes like sort of like kind of structure to like the dough, the gluten and like dough, say the dough, right? Dough structures like and then like strength of the dough. And but basically like this way is better. Sounds like strength, dough strength, and um, basically this this like noodle texture. Yeah, and you also maybe like notice like there's red sort of like beam, like kind of red light like kind of beaming on the dough, right? And that's detecting the thickness of the dough that's being rolled. Um, so she can like virtually see how thick the dough is getting, right, on the display. And so that this is like really useful feature that this machine offers, like especially like for anybody, especially for people just were starting to make noodles. So you don't have to like stop in the middle to measure the thickness with a caliper or something, but you can just see how thick the dough is. So it's a relatively thick dough, but like definitely different great size for each ramen noodles, and the thickness would be like probably between like 2 millimeter and like 2.5. And what's great about again like this machine is that like well like customers would be able to like enjoy the sort of like randomness of the noodle texture because even though like this is a machine, right? You know there may be because like there's like element of like hand making designing to this machine. There's like a kind of like chance of like randomness. You know, probably like difference like discrepancy of like maybe like 0.05 or like 0.1 millimeter or something in like thickness and width. So that's kind of so that works as like so kind of hand making um, sort of like essence weaved into it. And so you can change the cut width, even in the middle of the cutting process. Just kind of like by kind of visually looking at how thick, how thin the noodles are coming, right? All right, so let's cut noodles and look at that noodle. Like that's really really thick and thin, and yeah, she did that on purpose, but it's like So like from just one batch, like she made like different sizes, like four sizes, like four width, different width, right? And so what what she's going to show you is that like you know you can use that press unit to actually like well make them curly. Yeah, so that's what I mean by make them curly by machine. You can make them by hand by like well squeezing them, right? But like you can make them by curly by pressing them. And so it's kind of interesting. Like so you have to like dust them well because they're gonna be kind of stuck, like one chunk of dough, right? After you press it without dusting, so you need to dust them well. And I think like curly noodles, and especially like if you call them by hand, or like call them a machine like this way, yeah, they're gonna give the customer like kind of well a noodle texture that like kind of random, and then like this randomness kind of gives the customer like kind of sense of like oh these noodles are like made by hand, and um, you know yeah, for some people like yeah, hand making sounds already like higher quality than machine made, right? So um, okay, so I was quite impressed, but you see that yeah, look at the curliness, right? Look at those curliness, yeah. I'm going for one more push. See how they're gonna come out, right? Yeah, I think it's I think it's great because if you're human beings like making noodles by hand, and then of course like every day is different, like and how the noodles are curled would be different, right? So this process like method gives you to be able like um, well have that kind of element of hand making, even though you're making noodles by machine on the machine. um, it's a great way to sort of like kind of serve your customers handmade noodles. So like if you serve these noodles like right as one serving, right, it's kind of interesting because like there are like four different noodle sizes that kind of like mixed together, right, as one serving of fresh noodles, and they are like curled differently, right? So these are like this is like gonna be like really unique, you know, um, serving of like fresh noodles at your restaurant, and because and then I'm sure like noodle texture gonna be like you know distinctively unique, and it's very interesting. And yeah, and then the question is, like what kind of soup you going to couple these noodles with, right? What kind of soup like you want to serve these noodles in? Um, that's the or you could something like mazemen or tsukemen. Wow, they're beautiful. Okay, so let's go to just take them to our kitchen and see what's happening over there. Okay, welcome to Tomato Noodle School Kitchen, and the function of pressing the noodle several times after the noodles runs is activated. Yes, so what we just did is just kind of making them curl, right? Making them curl. So like um, by dusting the noodles well, right? Like to keep them from sticking, and the noodles got like tremendous pressure from the press machine, right? And then like they get squashed basically, right, between the the plastic boards, right? And then so in the process, like they get curled, and yeah, so that's why we did, right? And then we did like the press like twice, right, to get them curled. So that's basically what we did. And by curling them by hand, it would be like, very time consuming, and take up a lot of your energy, right? So um, curling them like that way to save you time and yeah, your energy. So all right, so we have Miss Sano in our instructor, and so she's going to show us the yeah, the HHR like ramen noodle dish. So thank you.
じゃあ今回テイクアウト用の、混ぜ麺とあと味噌ラーメンの2種類作っていきます。
So what we're going to make is that like we're going to make takeout for takeout, and then another like one for
先ほどの麺を、
how much? Okay.
もう湯がいたやつ用意してます。
Okay, so she just cooked the noodles like we just made, right?
6分茹でまし
Yeah.
た。
So that was 6 minutes that she cooked, right? And this for takeout, and
テイクアウト用のお皿に作ってます。
just add it to take a bowl, right? Take out in a bowl, and so I'm gonna just top it with
チャーシューでコロコロに。
the cubes of like chashu pork meat, and cut in cubes shapes.
トマトです。
There's tomatoes. Tomatoes like kind of cut into kind of same shape, cube shape, and everyone's favorite avocado.
できるだけサイズが同じようになるように。
And all these ingredients chopped and like cut into like kind of same size and shapes.
で、白ラーメンです。
So these are the like leeks that we use. Like we kind of like cut them in like in this sort of like special shape. Like or shiraga. Shiraga means like basically gray hair. Like yeah, because they look like them.
で、真ん中ちょっと開けてみます。
And so yeah, so I made a space for in the center for this
で、温泉卵。
egg, poached egg.
で、これはパクチーです。
So the central leaf.
はい、
Central leaf. Okay,
出来上がりです。
that's it. And so it's a takeout dish. So
タレは別で容器に入れてるので、
and then we got a sauce for in a separate bottle.
食べるときに混ぜてください。
And so just gonna serve it like to customer, like, and his customer would like just add it and then start it and then eat it right before like consuming it.
でこちらに入れて出来上がりです。は
Okay,
い。
so that's it. Yeah, that's easy. So like each ramen, the takeout dish.
電車ラーメンですね。
So next, what I'm gonna make is miso ramen. Miso ramen and
じゃあ入れていきます。
so the noodles are used for miso ramen like well smaller in size, compared to the ones we just did. But like yeah,
1分20秒ぐら
and
い。
then 1 minute and 20 seconds for the cooking time.
その間にスープを沸かしてます。
Okay, so while we're doing the noodles, forming the soup,
輪切り唐辛子入れます。
and that's a chili, yeah, chopped like that, right? And then
で、まあ、テイクアウト用のこれ器になるんですけど、
so this is a takeout container like bowl.
でこの上に麺と具材を乗せて、下がスープになります。
Okay, so that's a two-layered like container, and then like that in the top, like we put the noodles and then the toppings, and then the bottom, like we put the soup. Okay,
で、
so that's
元ダレ入れます。
so that's miso motodare. Okay, that's miso motodare, and it's a flavored oil. Okay, flavored oil, and the top motodare in.
スープが沸くまで待ってください。
Okay, just gonna wait for the soup to be warmed, and the noodles are done, right? So remember, you have to strain them like hell to get rid of like the water as much as you can, and so put that noodles in, and
その間に麺を作ります。
okay, so while we're waiting for the soup to be warmed, I'm gonna top the noodles, corn. So yeah, the sugar leaks, and tissue and flavored soft-boiled egg, and that's chopped scallions. Okay, so the soup's warm.
スープが沸いたので、
Yeah, so that's so adding the stock, right, soup to the tarry and the flavor oil, and then that ladle is actually 300 cc ladle. So so she just measured 300 grams, and then
ちょっと味噌溶かしてあげます。
and then have to like dissolve the miso tare, right? Okay, and yeah, place that above it, and yeah, the lid, right? There you go with that miso ramen. Like that's for takeout.
で、まあこっちも作らなくて、
Yeah, and put it in the bag, this plastic bag, and yeah, that's how you yeah, how your customer would take home.
はい、じゃあ2種類完成です。
Okay, so 2 HH ramen um, dishes for takeout.
はい、以上になります。
And beautiful. So thank you for watching, and that's it. That's for my part. Thank you, Miss Sano.